1 of 4 so far on 4th down.
Can they get that yard? They're going to throw it. He's under pressure. He throws it. It's going to be intercepted.
So this right here, this should have been the day. Now you and I, we've seen some pretty crazy playoff games in our lifetime. But this one feels like it holds a special spot near the top of that list. I mean, it's Packers-Bears. What more could you ask for? But I want you to look at the scene going into the fourth quarter. At this point, Chicago's turned the ball over on half of their offensive drives, could not punch the ball past the goal line, and every single factor was pointing in Green Bay's direction. So I think it's about time we answer the question. How did this game so quickly go from this to this?
They're in field goal range. They want to get 7. They can use the clock. Williams throwing, and it's caught for the touchdown by DJ Moore. Forget about the clock. Just take the lead when you can.
Now, when you sit back and look at a comeback of drastic proportions like the one we witnessed in this game, it obviously doesn't just happen by accident. Ben Johnson's one of the most highly regarded play callers across the National Football League. And Packers DC Jeff Hafley coming into this matchup, not only did he have a set-in-stone plan of how to attack him, but that plan couldn't have gone better right out of the gate.
Burton going back and forth. 3 receivers now set to the left. On 4th and 6, Williams fires, and that's going to be picked at the 12-yard line. Carrington Valentine comes away with it. So the Bears stymied on 4th down, and Green Bay will get the ball.
So if you were watching this game live, you probably asked yourself immediately after seeing this, what the hell just happened on this play? Well, it was actually Jeff Hafley's plan in action. If you're Caleb Williams on a critical 4th down, you take notice to a few things right away. First one, for an example, would probably be their safety alignment. You've got one that's set up lower and kind of lurking in the same position as those linebackers, then the other one's deep, closing off that middle portion of the field in coverage. But on top of recognizing that, watch what happens when 2 of their receivers go into motion. Green Bay's secondary trails them and lines up directly over their release points off the line. If you're a quarterback in these shoes and you recognize everything we just mentioned, a simple call like a cover 1 man-to-man concept, that might be all you're expecting. But it turns out, everything we just went through was a disguise. What you and I are both looking at right now, okay, this is a pretty crazy rotation of players into what's called a Tampa 2 look in a form of zone coverage. But the main point being, without diving too far into the weeds on this, it initially looked like man coverage, but then turned into a zone. And that subtle use you now see of confusion in the secondary, that's more than likely what caused this miscommunication. When looking back at the majority of film from this game, I mean, there's no two ways about either team's philosophy. Ben Johnson was going to go down swinging, at least in terms of being aggressive offensively, and the Packers' blueprint in these scenarios was to manipulate their reads. Take the very next 4th down attempt from Chicago at their own 32-yard line for another example. At first, it looks like an all-out blitz at the quarterback, so Caleb's opting to target that quick 5-yard inbreaker from Luther Burden over the field because of it. But Green Bay's defensive bluff ended up working out again. Luke Van Ness, lined up as an inside tackle, ends up dropping out into a form of low zone coverage. He delays Caleb being able to make that throw for just a second, and the ball gets batted at the line. And the same point from before still stands. Extremely subtle, but extremely effective. Now, I'm also not going to play dumb. You and I both know how this game ended. So now that we're fully aware of what some of Green Bay's tendencies were in this game, how did Ben Johnson work to pick them apart eventually?
3rd down and 10. Williams under pressure, loses it. Luke Van Ness is able to strip it, recovered by Chicago back at the 36-yard line, 4th and forever now.
Now this snap in the game, this to me is where we saw the script get flipped. Another game-defying 3rd down scenario, and what do you see if you're Caleb Williams yet again? You've got that one high safety just like you saw from the first interception in the earlier clip, then defensive backs working to line up over any and all of Chicago's split-out wide receivers. But keep that almost identical look in mind because watch what happens right off the snap. It's a little more unique, but another even crazier disguised rotation into that same Tampa 2 look. And that one high safety we just pointed out, he's technically crashing down and covering any deep routes that target in between the hashes, while at the same time both cornerbacks outside are dropping as quick as possible and taking each half of the field in zone. When you even look at this scheme from a sky-high view like this, I mean, you could pretty much dissect it like cover 3 if you wanted to. Chicago was constantly trying to target receivers over the middle of the field, and Green Bay was doing everything in their power to take that ability away from them. Now, it took 3 quarters, but watch the next time they get their hands on the football. Not only is this where the comeback started, but you immediately saw their adjustment.
Plenty of time, 11.5 left in regulation. Williams fires down the sideline, caught again inside the boundary. Loveland once more, first down.
Well, when they brought Cole Kmet over it in motion, it creates an opportunity in a matchup once again for this rookie tight end out of Michigan, Loveland, against the linebacker, Quay Walker.
Now, how exactly did that motion create this play? Well, per usual, Ben Johnson had came into this game doing his homework. Because even though the Packers heavily incorporate disguise into their defense, they still follow a pattern. Very few teams in the league had ran a combination of both cover 2 and cover 3 more frequently than Jeff Hafley's operation last season. And a glaring way to give coverages like this problems if you're an offense is to just start playing the numbers game. Now, this snap still early in the fourth quarter, Green Bay had dialed up a fire zone, which in itself is a form of cover 3, except with one less body in coverage because they're sending a blitz at the quarterback. But you remember how I pointed out those 3 receivers for Chicago and the fact that they were all lined up on that same side of the field? Well, that little wrinkle is what busted Green Bay's coverage. Just look at the route combination overall and how it stretches the defense thin. Rome Odunze goes vertical and takes the top off the secondary. Cole Kmet releases to the flat and occupies the lower zone on that side. And all of a sudden, not only have you created a massive void for Loveland's path down the boundary, but the route pairing essentially manufactured that mismatch. A quick 20-yard gain on this concept moves Chicago into the red zone, and for the first time in a very long time, they capitalize on this trip and get themselves 6 on the board. But this was just the beginning of the comeback. Okay, Chicago was nowhere near out of the woods just yet, because the very next drive, Green Bay had their response. 6 plays, 54 yards and a touchdown, and it happened before any of us even had a second to take a breath. So just like that, it's back up to double digits. And 4 snaps later, watch what they go to when their backs are against the wall.
So it's 4th down and 8. Have to get to the Green Bay 49. Williams chase, throws, and it's caught at the 30-yard line. Rome Odunze on a 4th and 8.
I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, this guy is just one of one as far as his abilities. Think about what's at stake. It's 4th down. Game is over, and he throws it up and over the defender right into the hands of Odunze.
Do or die play of the game, and Ben Johnson decides to go to an empty set with 4 receivers on one side of the field. The reason he did it might have been because he was expecting a call like cover 3. Now, I'm not going to be naive with all of you about what really made this play happen. Okay, given the circumstances, the ball placement under pressure, this is one of the craziest throws you're going to see for as long as you watch this sport. That being said, there's definitely a reason that Ben Johnson went with this route pairing. You've got a go ball, high crosser, a sit down over the field, and a flat altogether. And go ahead and pull up the coverage again real quick for the Packers. Now, I said the call here was cover 3, and it technically is, but the variant that we're looking at on this snap kinda looks like cover 3 match, which, in its simplest form possible to explain, like you'll see on the screen right now, it's pretty much zone unless certain receivers end up going deep. For a perfect example of this, look at both DJ Moore and Odunze. Each of them, to an extent, are going vertical down the field, so they're being taken up in what's becoming on-the-fly man-to-man coverage. The remainder of the secondary, for the most part, as you're going to watch once we play this, they'll still be in ordinary zone. But I say this again, look at how the combination of these routes work to fully widen the coverage. That boundary corner at the bottom of your screen, he wants to keep dropping deep, but he's waiting to jump a throw midfield to Luther Burden. That middle field safety up top, Xavier McKinney, he can't commit yet to one side of the field or the other because he's got his eyes on DJ Moore opposite. Absolutely nothing I just went through matters without Caleb making the throw. But the play design, that's also undeniably why the window was there. I mean, the common denominator in all of these reps is uncanny. Every single big play in the fourth quarter included the Bears rolling out a different case of an overloaded formation or route pairing to one side of the field. Now, I'll also make it clear, not every one of these snaps I'm showing you only worked out because of the play design, but it was also because Green Bay on those gotta-have-it downs, they were just continually deploying those eerily similar coverage structures we'd been seeing the entire game. It's as cliche as it gets, but both Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams down the stretch, it's no more complicated than the fact that they were just taking what the defense kept giving them. And right on cue, like we touched on earlier, if it wasn't the play design doing the heavy lifting, Plan B was targeting those mismatches. Giving Chicago 21 yards on a 3rd and long check down was a hand-wrapped gift at this point in the game. That gets him inside the 10. Now take a wild guess how you think they scored.
2nd and goal. In the pocket, fires, caught, touchdown! Olamide Zacchaeus into the end zone.
Just works underneath, trying to work in space against the linebackers. Caleb puts it out in front. Easy job of being able to pull away from Quay Walker. And then
the deeper into this game we get, the more you notice these play designs intentionally creating and targeting defensive weak points. And the Packers are on thin ice at this point in the game. They haven't been able to counter any of these overloaded looks from Chicago, couldn't cash in on their own offensive drive that followed this, and now you're giving the football right back to the hottest hand. Not even 3 snaps later after that missed field goal, you've got another 3rd down, and another 3-receiver set shifted over to one side of the field. Now Ben Johnson on this snap, he's sending the running back DeAndre Swift to line up in almost a tight end position. Initially when you see this live, you probably think nothing of it. But in all likelihood, if you know what coverage is coming as a play caller, you and your quarterback will also know where to attack them. The 3-receiver side ends up occupying the attention of the entire coverage. You look right, you've basically got an edge rusher covering a running back.
And that's a bust in coverage. Inekbari's a big defensive end. He's trying to drop out, but nobody out in the flat at all. Swift has wide receiver skill set, easy 1st down conversion.
This comeback didn't happen because of luck. It happened by consistently incorporating the tiniest wrinkles into the pass game. But if you were to place one wrinkle above the rest from everything in this fourth quarter, I mean, there's no other answer besides Ben Johnson's call for the dagger. Now, at this point, I'm not even going to waste my breath. Okay, we're just one play past that Swift completion we just saw. The Packers, they're in cover 3 again, and the Bears have a 3-receiver set again. Absolutely nothing's changed from everything we've been seeing. But I'm going to go ahead and play this rep about half a second or so after the snap and pay attention to what the call at first would look like to a defense. Not only do you see multiple receivers making an attempt to block upfield, but you've also got Luther Burden looking like he's on a screen route and a tackle working out wide to block. If you're in the shoes of the secondary, everything about this is telling you to quickly crash down on it. Little did any of them know it was actually a decoy for a post wheel combo down the sideline. The post route ends up holding that safety up top, and that's the biggest window they saw all night.
They look like they're going to just throw a quick screen to Luther Burden. Watch Caleb Williams pump it and then release DJ Moore.
You know, sometimes comebacks like this happen because one team on either side of the ball collapses. Other times, it's because one team righted the ship. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to decide which one this game was in the comments. Either way, I appreciate y'all, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.